My name is Jodi Dory, and I'm the founder and producer of the Chai Wallahs. One of the big turning points for us selling chai was when we approached the Cronquist tea house, and they picked up our tea and were serving it and selling the product. So we're here today to gather a little bit of information about the actual historic end of the Cronquist house. Today we're here doing a bit of an interview with two people that have been very involved with the Cronquist house from the beginning and partway through, and I would like them to tell us how they got involved and what their duties and affiliation is right now.
Yes, I'm Carol Borg, and the Cronquist House, first of all, is actually owned by the city of Red Deer, but has always been operated by the Red Deer Cultural Heritage Society, who also operates Festival Hall, and we also produce Canada Day festivities every year. So my role here, the Red Deer Cultural Heritage Society is made up of member groups and individuals, many ethnic or ethnocultural groups mainly. And I am a member of the Whanatūālan Scandinavian Dancers, and I have been their representative on the board of the Red Deer Cultural Heritage Society for upwards of 30 years. I've also been on the executive of the society for the last over 10 years. And so those are my roles here. So, and the board governs or guides the operation of the Cronquist House.
Yes, I'm Margaret Day, and I've been involved with the Cronquist House since, on and off, since 1977. And at the present time, I'm on the board of directors as a member at large, and I'm also chairman of the Cronquist House Committee. And we sort of like to do some extra curricular, so to speak, activities in the house. We, at the moment, have just been concentrating on special teas commemorating different things, like the different saints' days of Great Britain and Father's Day, Mother's Day. We also are operating a pie and coffee and lemonade stall on Canada Day, which we look after right outside the back entrance of the house, which is quite interesting. We did the first one, I guess it's coming up 3 years ago now, and it was going beautifully. We had all kinds of pies and very well. And then at 2 o'clock the skies opened, and that was the end of sort of the good times for Canada Day that year. You remember that one? Yeah. Yes. So I've been many things over the years. I also look after the history and the records of the house and the society, and I have an office upstairs on the 3rd floor.
Can you tell us what the history is of the Cronquist house and how it became a tea house, what I see as a tea house today?
Well, it has quite a long history. The Cronquist House was built by a couple called Emanuel Peterson, or by a man who came from Stockholm. And he built 2 houses before this one, and then he built this very luxurious, prestigious house in what is now West Park in Red Deer. And that, his land, he passed away and the whole family passed away, and his one heir did not want the house, and so it was going to be demolished. And so there were a group of people in Red Deer who thought that that shouldn't happen, and they were actually a part of a group called the International Folk Festival Society. And so they decided to negotiate with the city, and they did that, and the house was moved from the West Park area to Bower Ponds, which is across the river, which is a very, it was an amazing feat for that to have happened. And it was positioned here in what was gravel pits at the time and now is Bower Ponds. And so it was moved in 1976. And then it was, well, it had to be all renovated and systems restored and so on. And so those group of people who had been instrumental in having it moved also were instrumental in having it, what's that word, restored. Yeah.
When the house was slated for demolition, John Murray, who was an architect here in town and also a member of the English Canadian Club, there was an English Canadian Club in those days, was very sorry to see that yet another building was going to be demolished, because by this time developers were coming into Red Deer and just going gangbusters on tearing down some of the little old houses. So he went to council, presented a proposal, had to work very hard in order to convince council that this was a good idea, and also he got the advocate, the Red Deer Advocate, on side, so they started publicising it and raising money for the house to be moved. A lot of people were involved in planning this move. They talked to a gentleman called Swede Tronis, who owned Bonanza Moving, or Movers, who specialised in moving buildings, but he had never, ever managed to move a building of this size. And then a date was set to move it. By this time they had managed to accumulate quite a large sum of money in order to pay for this move. It was the generosity of the people of Red Deer who contributed to the moving of the house. And then when the moving day came upon them, I guess one of the radio stations got very involved, and they were giving sort of hour by hour or minute by minute details of how the move should be done, and people were expecting that this would go on. It would be a long day. The whole thing would take all day.
So I'm excited to be at the tea house again. We were here visiting with some of the historians, and we got a lot of historic information about the Cronquist house and how it was moved and the society in itself. And today I wanted to know specifically about our chai and how you were introduced to it.
Hi, I'm Dolores Coghill. I am the manager of the Red Deer Cultural Heritage Society. So on the Red Deer Arts Council, I was actually asked to be a treasurer on the council, because that's my real forte, is book work and bookkeeping and accounting. And on the council was also Diane Hermery. And through her, I met another wonderful woman, Heather Christensen. And I met her primarily through these family dance nights that we would have every 4 months. And so Heather was involved with the decorations and the children's activities and stuff, but even though I hardly knew her, she's just one of those people that you just want to know more, because she's just so friendly and outgoing. So then, of course, we found out about the chai tea that her and her partner had created and were selling, and so I suggested that they bring it to the house here so that we could serve it and sell it, which she did. So the day she brought it, she was teaching us staff how to make it and all that stuff. And I happened to have a visitor that day from out of town, so I was sort of sitting partly listening and partly visiting. And so while she was busy teaching the staff how to do it, she actually ended up started clearing tables and stuff just so that she could help out. Which she didn't have to do, but she did, because that's just the way she was. So that was the introduction to the chai tea and the other. I was first introduced to chai a few years ago when my niece, who lives in Delta, BC, married a Punjabi man, and we went out for the wedding. And so that was the first time I'd ever tasted it, because apparently it's quite common to be served throughout the wedding and for many days, because they do last longer than one day. and I just grew to love it. I just thought it was a wonderful taste, and I like my coffee. I'm not too much of a tea drinker, but this was great. And then, of course, when I first tasted Chai Wallahs, it was even better. It had a more full-bodied taste to it, and yeah, made me even a bit more addicted to it than I had when I was first introduced to it.
I'm super proud to be a part of this space, to have the Chai Wallah product here and being served. And I'm curious what happens when people come in and get introduced to the chai. What are some of the sort of relationships maybe, or the little, what people say about the chai?
So a lot of people have come, return customers, because they've had the chai, and the Chai Wallahs, I should say, and have come back again. And other people have never tried it before, so are quite curious, and they ask if it's hot or cold. And again, we charge a little bit more for the chai, but that doesn't seem to deter anybody from ordering it. And it's always, I think they're always delightfully surprised at just how good it is. They've heard of it, but never had tried it. And so yes, we get people coming all the time for chai.
Today we've come down to the Red Deer Farmers Market. It's a pillar in the Red Deer community. It's a Saturday morning to afternoon market. It's down by the river, down by the service arena. And it's a sprawling place. It's a hub. Today, unfortunately, it's a rainy day, and so we have a lot less people coming and a lot less vendors. But we're wandering around, taking in the sights and the smells. We have really enjoyed the market from when our kids were younger, and when you come, you always meet your neighbors or people you went to school with, and you get a little catch up over a lemonade or some churros. We get our local eggs and produce here. It runs from the May long weekend to Thanksgiving, so it's quite a number of weekends. People say that come to Red Deer that it's one of the best markets in Alberta, one of the best markets they've been to. And I think it's because it covers so many different walks of life as far as what you sell at a market. So anything from homemade baking and meats and to craft oriented things. A couple of flea market tables, but for the most part it's handmade, homegrown products. It's worthwhile coming down and just browsing and enjoying the sunshine in the summertime. We've been coming here for a number of years with our family, meeting up with friends for a hot dog, buying local products, and it's a hub around Red Deer. Everybody, when it's a Saturday morning and they have the grandchildren with them, they wander down and enjoy all of the handmade products, hand-grown products, all fresh, farm-grown. Hi.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'll give you a postcard for the Bard on Bower Festival.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have time for a chat this morning?
Sure, of course.
Great. I'm Jodi, and I have a company called the Chai Wallahs. And just so happened that we actually had the Red Deer Arts Council booth one time.
Oh, terrific.
And so I just thought I'd pop by and see what you folks are doing.
Awesome. Well, we're doing Shakespeare in the Park, free show down at Bower Ponds. This year we're doing A Midsummer Night's Dream and Richard II. And we also have a smaller touring show that goes around called Bard in a Box.
Great. Well, it's nice to meet you. I'm Jodi.
I'm Richard. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well. I'll look forward to that. I'll heat my chai up and come down.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Bye now.
Bye. So there's some small businesses here that I get to visit with when I'm at some of the indoor markets, and your friendly baker is one that we bump into each other quite often. Hi, good morning. How are you?
Thank
Good, good. Interesting. Yeah, I would love to buy one. Yeah. Your favorite, of course.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Got cash. So another vendor here at the Red Deer Farmers Market, the Booze Brothers. It looks amazing, all the different varieties of flavors, and it really gets me thinking that I'd like to chat with them about possibly doing a chai flavor.
Hi, I'm Don with Booze Brothers. We're made right here in Red Deer, just down the street from the Westerner. Been legal, well, should I say that? We've been legal for a year.
Yeah.
Been on the market for a year.
Yeah.
And yeah, things are going really well. We're having a lot of fun at the farmers market. People are loving it. There's my card.
Thank you.
What was your name again?
Jodi.
Hi, Jodi. Nice to meet you. So our redneck mocha, it's sugar-free. It's for people who are looking for a healthier version of moonshine, I guess, or liqueur, right? Like coffee liqueur usually has a ton of sugar in it. So we have people requesting something that's a little bit more healthy. So we could give it a shot. Turns out pretty good. People like it.
Good.
Put it in your coffee or put it on the rocks. Yeah. So you make chai yourself, you said? So what would you think? Just infuse it with some of White Lightning or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you would be the specialty with that.
Yeah.
You
So
would
we got a small specialty still for making that kind of stuff. So we just have to screw around and do some testing, and then you'd have to tell us what the flavor's supposed to taste like. So yeah, if you want to work together, I'm all for it.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Just give us a call and check out our website, see what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will for sure.
Okay. Perfect.
While I was wandering around today and talking with some of the vendors, it really brought back a lot of memories of Heather and I in the market. We would come on Saturday and set up and have our samples. Today we met with the Booze Brothers and chatted about doing a chai flavored booze drink. And so he was really excited about it and seems like a really fun guy to work with. We're at Sunnybrook United Church in Red Deer today, and we're talking to a celebrity in my mind. And I would like you to elaborate on the market in Red Deer, Alberta. And yeah, just introduce yourself to everyone.
My name is Dennis Moffat, as you know, and this is my son, Patrick. Patrick and I have been involved in the farmers market for 52 years now. I did it for 50. And how it started is kind of interesting. I was sitting in the bottom of a canoe fishing in Kenora, Ontario, visiting my in-laws, when I thought to myself, I live in a community that's a farming community. And why isn't there a farmer's market? Every village in Europe has them. Every city worthwhile has them. And Red Deer is certainly worthwhile. So when I got back to Red Deer, I approached City Council and I gave them my proposal. I would manage a market for them. And the mayor at that time, Ed Barrett, who was a lovely man, said to me, yes, we used to have a grain market in town where farmers brought in their grain and sold them, but it never worked out. But if you want to stick your neck out and do all the work, we'll be happy to say go ahead and you receive our blessing, but it'll never work. That's as far as it went. And I said to him, can I have your permission, Your Worship, to put an ad in the paper and use the address of City Hall to reply to this questionnaire? And he said yes, and so we started that way. The questionnaire was put in the paper. You had to cut out the ad, fill it out, put it in your own envelope with your own stamp, and send it back to Red Deer. We got over 600 replies. Every one of them was approved of market for Red Deer. So I knew I was on the right step.
So with my business, the Chai Wallahs, we've been doing markets in central Alberta for about 20 years now. And it's a very demanding job. And I'm wondering from your perspective what you see as sort of a successful vendor. What makes a successful vendor at your markets?
Vendors come in all sorts and sizes. The most important thing that a vendor can do is be consistently happy. They should be out in front of their operation so that they can greet people and welcome them, and instead of hiding in the back behind their goods and wondering why everybody walks by them. So to be outgoing is the most important thing, and to be pleasant and appreciate their customers. And don't have a gloomy face ever. And if I catch them, I say something to them. Oh yeah, it's a way to do it, and the vendors know that. Our vendors are ones that have been there consistently, and we encourage them, and they come out rain or shine, and they're the good people that make a market go. We have other marketers that come and go on a good day. They pick out the day, but they're still welcome. But they're not the pride of our market. The pride of our market is a happy, outgoing group. And that's what makes our market successful.
Jodi, I just wanted to step in here and just say that part of the reason that the vendors are so successful at the Red Deer Market has been Dennis. A lot of the times we talked about vendors sitting behind their wares, not engaging with people. We know that's a successful trade of vendors. Dennis has been there as the market was small and grew too big. Dennis was always there to bring people out of their comfort zones to learn about their products more and learn about the customers they're dealing with. And that was Dennis's doing in an indirect way, where you didn't have to actually tell people like they had to get up in front of their product, because they knew their product left, right, and center, but they just didn't know how to sell it or how to engage with people. And selling's easy when you can talk to people. And I think you're pretty aware that when you started your company and started at the markets with Chai Wallahs, that was evident when you started talking with people. And I'm sure you were a little afraid at first talking to people, but you overcame that, and you saw the opportunities that came to you when you were friendly, and you're an honestly friendly person. So that was easy. And so the easy part was pretty good for you, and then you became successful and in growing your business, incubating the business. And this is what Dennis has done with a lot of the businesses at the farmers market. His idea was to have a farmers market to incubate people's ideas and their businesses to the point where they grow so much and get feedback from the customers that they're growing and becoming a more part of the community, where they can be successful and get a brick and mortar business in the town, where they hire people and they pay taxes, and they're just more part of the community. And I think that's what Dennis has brought to the market, and that's what makes vendors successful. And the market manager has a lot to do with it, and you know that. You know that very well, because it's an important part. You've been to a lot of markets where, yeah, you just don't want to be there because the spirit isn't there. And you've mentioned it before. There's a spirit in this market, and I thank Dennis for that. And I've learned it.
Dennis, you're a fun guy. We all see you as a fun guy, and I just think that there's probably some stories that you can tell us about the market, and I'd like you to tell us a couple, your favorites.
When I think of the humorous incidents over the time of the years of the market, one particular one comes to mind. It was the very first year of our market, and one of our lovely friends from one of the colonies came, and at the time it was a Mr. Hofer. Everybody was a Hofer at that time. And he said, "Dennis, I've got a bargain for you." So he went to his van and he opened the back door, and there was a great huge piece of liver out in the open, and the flies were flying around and everything. And my eyes were like this, and I looked at it and I said, "Peter, I have somebody I want you to meet." So I ran around the corner and I got Sam Diminu, who happened to be the health inspector. And I said, Sam, there's somebody I want you to meet. And I brought him around and I said, Sam, this is Mr. Hofer from the colony. He's got something to show you. So he did. Well, I left them then, but everything worked out. Sam was wonderful. And he explained to him that we don't do this kind of thing at a public market because it's unhealthy. Yeah. And he agreed with them and they did all their same. But just the look on his face when Sam looked at that liver made me laugh for maybe 3 weeks, and it was good. Still. Yeah, and he's still laughing about it. That was the story I remember the best. The other things are things that make me full of pride. There were three incidents that I can remember that started with a TV table selling meats and sausages. The two people I remember, their name was Nosik. They came as a young bride and groom with a new business idea, and they were making the sausage in their father's basement and selling it. They are now a world-class organization with a huge building in Red Deer and a great business. And I take great pride in their efforts to grow from a market. The other one was another young couple from Poland. They couldn't speak English, and I couldn't even spell their name. It was so long with Z's and C's and Y's. And I loved them. And they too were selling sausages and things on a TV table. And they got their start, and they were happy. They were welcoming people, and now they run a successful business in Red Deer, European sausage. And they have a store in downtown Red Deer, and they have a factory just outside of Red Deer, and they are doing wonderfully well. And they're both wonderful people. And the third one is Parkland Nurseries. Mr. Beck, Earl Beck, came to the first market with a couple of trees to sell. And he did so well that he thought he'd get some more trees and start selling. From then, his whole business idea grew, so his family, at the time, as they grew and grew and grew, are now Parkland Nurseries, one of the leading nurseries in Alberta. Those three stories make me happy, and they're kind of happy stories to tell. They're successful stories of the development opportunities at a local market. If you stick with it, and you're happy in what you're doing, you're going to succeed.
When I have friends and family come from out of town, I'm excited when they're here on a Saturday because I get to take them down to the Red Deer Farmers Market. And I'm really proud of the energy and the number of vendors and the variety of vendors that you have going on down there. And I'm curious what you're thinking is your success year after year with the growth and that sort of thing.
Consistency. We're there every Saturday morning from 8 in the morning till 12:30. We've tried other times. At one time, we went until 4 in the afternoon, but found that the heat of the day in July and August, all it made was wilted vendors hoping to go home soon. So morning time is when you go to a market, and it seems to have worked. The other thing is that we treat everybody equally, badly. We treat them all equally badly, and they love it, you know. And everybody has been welcome. We have never turned a vendor away until they proved unworthy of their fellow marketers. But the success of the market is consistency, rain or shine, and being there. The operator should be there, and the operator shouldn't have his own stall. That's a bad thing, because then the operator is only concerned with his own stall and how they're selling their stuff. and not looking after the other vendors. And I've kept that rule over the years. We don't do anything for yourself. The market is for all of the vendors and for all of their customers. And it's not to glorify whatever I had in the back of my mind for selling. Probably couldn't sell it anyway. But that's an important rule. And the other thing is, you can't limit the amount of fruit trucks that show up. You can't say we only can have one fruit truck, because that's a license to steal. When you have a number of different vendors, perhaps selling the same thing, but we don't put them close to each other, it keeps them looking at each other at how much they're getting for their stuff, you know. It's a free market. It's a free market.